The Biden crime family marches on and Congress continues to expose them, now releasing a memo detailing $20 million in Biden bribe money. The Oversight Committee published this on their website, taking us there via Twitter. He said, breaking, I just released new Biden family records, bank records, and outline how the Bidens receive millions from oligarchs in Russia. Including Kazakhstan and Ukraine, all while Joe was VP. After Hunter received millions, VP Biden dined with these oligarchs in D.C. Isn't it nice to have that type of connection to the White House? This was published August 9th by the Oversight Committee. They say that we now release a third batch of bank records, a memo detailing new information about the committee's investigation into the Biden peddling schemes. The memo outlines how the Bidens and their associates got millions from oligarchs, Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan. After the donos, Hunter and his business associates, Devon Archer and others, met and dined with the president. Why? To sell the brand. And so they published this full report. Let's dig right into it. You can see this was drafted as a memo from James Comer, also copied here, Jamie Raskin from the Committee on Oversight and Accountability. This is 19 pages. August 9th to the Committee on Oversight and Accountability majority members. They tell us, the committee staff is now releasing the third bank memo to apprise the members of the corruption and the peddling schemes. On March 16, 2023, staff issued the first memo, so congressional staff, and that highlighted Biden and the family using Robinson Walker LLC, one LLC, to get money from China. That was memo number 1. Then on memo number 2, staff issued a second memo, which also focused on Romania and additional Chinese money. So we've got number 2 there. So both of those are China. Now, the third bank records memo serves to inform members of the Biden family relationships with other foreign entities like Russia, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan. So how did they get all this? Comer says, well, we had to subpoena a bunch of different bank records, 6 of them, in fact. We got thousands of records. The committee subpoenas were tailored to specific individuals and companies engaged in business activities with Biden family members and their associates. The committee has not yet subpoenaed bank records for members of the Biden family. So these are only business activities with Biden family members and their associates, but not the family members themselves, which is just like a treasure trove. Committee staff will continue to release new info as information is uncovered. They say that the committee staff tells us the following. We have now identified, look at this, over 20 million in payment, which is actually, not that much. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's corrupt as can be, but I was thinking about this. Like, weren't the Clintons getting like 120 to like 200 million for their corrupt Clinton Foundation? Wasn't that right? It was like nuts. And so I was thinking, okay, first of all, this is probably just scratching the surface. I would imagine there's probably close to 100 million bucks in there. This is what we can see. Imagine what we cannot see. And also, we are only, I would imagine, in banks that they have jurisdiction over. There are also foreign banks that Congress just can't access. The U.S. Treasury just can't access. So 20 million is a ton of money. I shouldn't have said not a lot. But I was thinking relative to the entire Clinton ball, feels like a small number. Although the Bidens are a lot less competent than the Clintons were. That's for sure. Not too bright. So the point is, a lot of money. Hunter and Devon Archer, they use Rosemont Seneca to bring in millions from oligarchs, using accounts that were nominally tied to Devon Archer, using the familiar Rosemont Seneca branding. Hunter received incremental payments from foreign sources. They tried to hide the source and the size. In 2014, Russian oligarchs sent $3.5 million to a shell company. Her name was Yelena Baturina. My understanding is she is still a Russian. She's still a billionaire, and she hasn't been sanctioned yet. Why? Close with the Bidens. Transferred $3.5 million to Rosemont Seneca. $1 million was then transferred to Devon Archer. The remainder was used to fund a new company called Rosemont Seneca Bohai, which Devon and Hunter got other foreign wires. So you just create the company as a shell. You take the company paperwork, you go in, you open up a bank account, and that's basically the only reason it exists. Then you conduct the wires under that LLC. The LLC is incorporated under, various partners, and it's hard to track all of this. Then the LLCs own other LLCs, and it turns into this layered mess. In spring 2014, a Ukrainian oligarch placed Archer and Biden on the Burisma board, paid him $1 million each year. Burisma and the corporate secretary, Vadim Pozharsky, he worked on behalf of the Ukrainian oligarch, the guy who owned Burisma, Mikhailo. Hunter was initially hired by Burisma as a lawyer, and other people, Pozharsky, Zolchevsky, they met with Hunter at a conference in Italy, Lake Como. Sounds beautiful. They decided Hunter would work on the board of directors with Devon Archer. Then Vice President Joe Biden visited Ukraine soon after their first payment. Payments from Burisma for both Devon Archer and Hunter were wired to Rosemont Seneca Bohai. Payments payments were then transmitted in incremental amounts to Hunter's different bank accounts. All right, now this is just a summary. Hopefully we get some nice documents. In April, a Kazakhstani oligarch wired the exact price of Biden's sports car to a bank account used by Archer and Biden. In February 2014, Hunter met with Keynes in Washington. Rakishev worked closely with the Prime Minister of Kazakhstan. In April, Kazakhstani oligarch wired $142,000. The next day, the payment was made from Rosemont Seneca for a sports car for Hunter Biden in the amount of $142,000. Man, Hunter just solves so many problems. It's like a bonus. Oh, you want a sports car? Yeah, a Kazakhstani oligarch just wires the money. Like, you know, like Venmo. Hey, let me give you back your $10 for lunch. $142,000. Just go get your car. Archer and Biden then arranged for Burisma executives to visit Kazakhstan in 2014. They evaluated a three-way deal among Burisma, China, and Kazakhstan. Hunter got millions of dollars in payments from Yelena Baturina. And then Biden had dinner with them in spring 2014, 2015. And look, Joe Biden told us none of this happened. So even if you're going to say that Hunter's stuff, you know, Hunter did this and Hunter got the car and who cares if he got the car and it's just Joe Biden didn't get the car and all that stuff, right? Joe Biden lied to us directly. He had dinner with these people who were paying Hunter Biden millions of dollars, like lied to us directly to our faces multiple times. I never spoke to him. I never talked to him about business at all. He's having dinner with them and they're paying Hunter millions of dollars. And that alone is demonstrating value, as Devin Archer confirmed. They say Biden lied about his family business deals, no doubt. The committee has revealed millions of dollars have come into Biden family bank accounts from foreign sources: China, Romania, Kazakhstan, Russia, Ukraine. Independent whistleblowers, sworn testimony from criminal investigations have corroborated this. Testimony from Hunter's former business partner, Devin Archer, also supports this. No one in the Biden administration or the minority has explained what services, if any, the Bidens or their associates provide in exchange for $20 million in foreign payments. It's excess. It's brand. That's it. They continue. Joe Biden was the brand. They sold his brand around the world to enrich the Biden family, to signal access. They say Vice President Biden himself in person met with significant periods of time with those individuals or their representatives. He joined 20 phone calls on speakerphone with foreign oligarchs who paid tons of money to Hunter. Now, they're pre-butting this response that we hear a lot about. President Biden's defenders, they always say, you know, that your committee has to show payments directly to the president to show corruption. And this has been the final goalpost move that we've been anticipating for some time. Well, they're going to say, well, Hunter never did a direct deposit into Joe Biden's bank account. And they're going to go back and, you know, maybe they'll pull up a record from the Bank of Delaware that Joe's had since, you know, 1845. And they say, look at my records. There's no transactions coming in. And also my balance is like $16.50. That's all I have in here. And they'll say, see, nothing ever happened to him. There's no direct deposit. There's no Venmo transactions. That's not what we're talking about. We all know that. They'd be idiotic to do that, to have direct wire transfers to Joe Biden from Burisma, Mikhailo Zolchevsky, for firing prosecutor Shokin in the memo. Thanks, bro, emoji, strong arm. Thanks, right? And Joe Biden has a bunch of those. We go, oh, there it is. No, of course not. They say this is a hollow claim no other American would be afforded. If their family members accepted foreign bribes, the law recognizes payments to family members as corrupt influence. They say the Biden White House attempts to move the goalpost all the time. It went from not in business with his son, from we've never spoken, no, we never discussed it. Then it moved more into, no, we're not in business. Now it's morphing into, he never got paid. And so what we're doing here, Congress says, we want legislative solutions. That's why we're investigating how this could jeopardize national security if vice presidents are allowed to do this. We also want to strengthen the Bank Secrecy Act and draft legislation. They're just confirming their, hey, by the way, this is not a partisan investigation, all right? This is just totally about legislation, which I don't care either way, honestly. If this is a partisan, naked, political investigation of Joe Biden, whatever, who cares? Because they're doing it using the DOJ back the other way. This, hopefully, at some point, we see some criminal prosecutions too. I mean, if what's good for the goose is good for the gander it up, you know? So the committee is releasing redacted bank records now regarding the family's business activities with a Russian oligarch. The second bank memo is highlighting over 20 companies that the Biden family and their associates used to layer payments and conceal sources of foreign payments. That's another question. If you have a legitimate business, if you're a legitimate consultant, do you need 20 companies to structure all of this stuff? Of course not. The third bank records memo talks about 3 of these entities: Rosemont Seneca Thornton, and Rosemont Seneca Bohai, Thornton and Partners. Here are some records. Hunter served as the chairman of partners. Devin served as the CEO, and Eric served as the president. You see them all listed here. Robert Hunter Biden, the chairman, a team of a highly experienced, here's what they said. Look at this corporate technobabble. It says, Rosemont Seneca Partners is a team of highly experienced professionals with a diverse set of industry, government, and philanthropic backgrounds that provide market-leading performance and results for our investors and partners. Do you have any idea what they do? Anybody know what that means? What do they do? No idea. All right. Market-leading performance for whatever that is. And they do deliver results for their partners, like getting prosecutors fired. So they say here, Rosemont Seneca was central to Biden and his later business ventures. Another entity was used by Hunter and Devin. The entity served as a means. Rosemont Seneca Thornton was registered in Delaware, and it served as a means to silo work for another family associate named James, the brother. Thornton was created in anticipation of engaging with China, and they're going to release more information about that in the future. They say Hunter was the beneficiary of funds that got deposited at that entity. This is what the relationship looks like. Here's some records. We see Devin Archer's name here. We see Rosemont Seneca Thornton, organization, Devin Archer, Devin Archer. They say, though Devin Archer is the only named person here, the documents, we can see the relationship between Rosemont Seneca Partners and Thornton. Yeah, you see that there. All right, so it looks like what they're doing, very too similar here. So here's Rosemont Seneca Thornton right there, and Rosemont Seneca Partners right there. So both of those are being connected. Rob Walker had a role in moving money from China to Biden. Rosemont Seneca, those entities, they were used to move money from Russia, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine into Hunter's bank account. Those are what those LLCs were created to do. Here are the transactions now. The Thornton account was used for only 3 months. There were 12 transactions for the year it was opened. 5 debits out, 7 credits in. So they just create a fake company, they open up bank accounts, and then they wire money around. That's all. You can see here, funds received. We've got some dates here. Looks like a bunch of dates back to back, all between January and February. Funds were received, wired funds, a lot of money, 83.5 on those first 2 transactions. Total 3.9 million. Yeah, that last one was a $3.5 million wire. That was a big one. Woo. On Valentine's Day, 3.5 million. Woo, that's a big one. All right, so then we've got some other electronic transfers. Shows that a $3.5 million wire on Valentine's Day. And then they moved the money out. That came from Yelena Baturina, the Russian oligarch. And then they moved from Thornton into Bohai, the wealthiest woman in Russia, married to the mayor of Moscow formerly, wired $3.5 million over there. Hunter's the chairman. After receiving the wire, no other money came into Rosemont. Only 2 wire transfers went out. We had another big wire transfer, $2.75 million from Thornton over to Bohai. Here are more transactions, cash flow activity. So funds are being transferred. 2.7 million here come in, it looks like. Then a bunch of money goes out. 2.44 million was transferred to another account. They've got records of that. There's the 2.4 million there. Here's a graphic of how this worked. Eventually transferred according to the following ways. So you see, Russian oligarch. This is Yelena Baturina. 3.5 million bucks on Valentine's Day goes over to Rosemont Seneca Thornton. People in that company, looks like it's managed by Hunter, Devin, and Eric. 2.75, they moved to another fund called Rosemont Seneca Bohai. Archer gets his commission, 3/4 of $1 million bucks from Rosemont Seneca Bohai. They make payouts to Hunter. That's how they wash the money from Yelena. Okay. They would prefer, it'd be very nice if Yelena could just say, here you go, Hunter. Thanks for just give this money to your daddy for us, and we can just do whatever we need you to do. But obviously they can't do that. They've got to structure it to basically 3 different entities. 1, 2, 3. And then it lands in Hunter's accounts somewhere. This one is Owasco PC. So he forms another company that gets the money after it's already been washed through basically 2 other companies until it lands in his pockets. Nice. So 3.5 million is then funneled around. We also have a special note on this. We're in the middle of, they keep telling us, a test of democracy. Western democracy is on the precipice. It's all, we're going to die because Russia. And everybody got sanctioned in the whole world to give Zelensky whatever he wants. And now we know that Yelena Baturina, one of these Russian oligarchs, who's very, very friendly with Hunty Poo, not on the sanctions list for the Russians. Convenient. Very convenient. Now, the committee is also releasing records about Kazakhstan. Hunter met with Kazakhstan in DC. In email correspondences, they're talking about meeting up. Some people have gone to prison 18 years for treason that they were associating with. Hunter got 142 grand for a sports car. You see it right there. There it is. Funds transferred. An Amex payment, which is an automatic bill payment, 17,000. And then look at this one. We've got a transfer in. Wired funds received on April 22nd. $142,000, 300 bucks. And look, then they turn around and wire the money right back out the following day on April 23rd. Wire the funds back out, 142,300 bucks. Where does that go? Schneider Nelson Motor Company. I'm sure he just delivered a home run. Hunter probably did a really good PowerPoint presentation. He's like, I work really hard on this. We're going to deliver strategic advantages for your country. In May, Hunter and Devin, they represented Burisma on a trip to Kazakhstan to evaluate a deal with a Chinese energy company. In spring, around the same time as the payment for Hunter's sports car, this time is spring 2014, VP Joe Biden attends a dinner with these people, all of them. Kanes Rakishev, Karim Mazimov, Yelena Baturina, the same woman who paid Hunter millions. Hunter's there. Devin Archer is there at Cafe Milano in D.C. He told us that he never did anything like that. He never spoke to my son, never did anything about any of this. These are all people who are paying him literally millions. Millions. Additionally, on April 16, 2015, VP Joe attended a dinner with the same people, Karim Mazimov, Hunter, and Devin, and others at Cafe Milano again, just about a year later. Here's another picture. Oh, these two. Yeah, and Hunter looks so hot there. He looks like he's right in the throes of, his addiction. Teeth falling out of his head. It's not a good look. And so probably right around the same time, a lot of this laptop stuff is being spread around, and there is Joe Biden, who says, I never talk with my son about business. I never hang out, and we only talk about the weather. There he is with Karim Mazimov and Kanes Rakishev. It's a pretty powerful picture to take, okay? People want to take pictures with powerful people because they go back to their businesses and they say, look who I have access to. Look who I am. Crazy to think that that's not delivering value. And Joe Biden's like, no, these are just his friends. We're just talking about pudding. No, he knows what he's doing. He's in on this whole thing. He's not, not going to escape it. In early 2014, Devin Archer assumed a position at the Burisma board of directors, assumed a position on that board, met with Posharsky, got paid $1 million per year, $83,000 per month. They got $3.32 million, all payments that are produced below. Look at that. There it is. Rosemont Seneca Bohai, 83,000, 83,000. Boom, 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 boom. Man, it's good to be a VP son. 83,000 a month, every month. Look at that money, man. 3.3 million. IRS whistleblower testimony, they say they earned 6.5 million in total for their work. You get prosecutors fired, it's pretty valuable. Hard to get that done. Not many opportunities to threaten to withhold $1 billion of foreign aid. We've got funds received, $83,000. There it is. All from Burisma, one after the other. Burisma. Wire funds sent. Wire funds went out to Robert Biden. So that came from a bank account. So Hunter takes a $15,000 distribution. Another confirmation number here. Funds transferred. Don't know where that one went out to. And they're not even into their personal bank accounts yet. So in conclusion, the committee tells us that we have provided the third memo. We've got evidence. Russia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, a massive pattern. There is a pyramid of corruption in Russia. The committee's identified $3.5 million that benefited the Biden family. $142,000 for a sports car. $6 million spent to investigate the prosecutor in Ukraine. $3 million from Romania that benefited the Biden family. $8 million that benefited them from China, from Xi Jinping. In total, thus far, and this number is going to balloon, no doubt, over $20 million from foreign sources. Rosemont Thornton, Rosemont Bohai, both used for funds for Hunter. Thornton cleaned the money from $3.5 million from Russia, and ultimately Bohai got the $2.75 million there as well. Congress says, all right, we've issued letters to individuals for their documents, and we're going to continue to engage in accommodations with this process. The committee is committed to rooting out fraud, waste, and abuse that exists at the highest level of the federal government. And so that is what the memo looks like. Here is James Comer explaining a little bit about what else we can expect.
James Comer released those transcripts and sort of...
Well, every 2 weeks we produce more evidence of wrongdoing by the Biden family. We produce more links to Joe Biden, and yet the mainstream media continues to turn a blind eye. I keep thinking at some point they're going to break, and we're seeing some movement from certain networks like CBS, but we still have a long way to go. But the one thing that drives me crazy is anytime I go down into a skiff and get a briefing from the FBI, or anytime we do a transcribed interview like we did last week, you'll either have Jamie Raskin or Dan Goldman come out and tell the press complete lies about what we just heard, and the press will run with it. We produce bank records, we produce evidence. Everything that I've said about criminal activity by the Bidens, I can back up with evidence. Yet one member of the House Oversight Committee on the Democrat side can come out and tell a narrative to the press, and they run with it.
Congressman, I've heard you say on several occasions, this is the beginning. You've essentially just begun the deposition phase, starting with Devin Archer. There are a lot of other characters in this. Eric Schwerin, Hunter Biden himself. Can you give us some expectation of what's to come with the deposition phase?
Yeah, well, we have other people like Devin Archer who were in business, so to speak, with Hunter Biden. I hate to say in business because they didn't have a legitimate business. Their business was influence peddling, and that's what Devin Archer testified in the transcribed interview. That They were simply selling the brand, which was Joe Biden. This is what Devin Archer said. They got paid because people needed access to the federal government, and they knew that Hunter Biden was Joe Biden's son. And if they needed something, and they always did need something, because every one of these entities that were paying the Bidens the millions and millions of dollars, they were people with issues in their country. They were under investigation for corruption. Many of them, they were crooks, so to speak. We're going to bring in additional people. There are about 5 or 6 people whose names were also on these shell companies, these fake companies that the Bidens were using to launder money from these foreign nationals. Remember, the process involved a foreign country or foreign national wiring money to a fake company. Then the fake company would then turn around and wire the money to the Biden family members. They did this to hide the source of the revenue because they weren't supposed to get money from many of these countries. And secondly, they did it to hide from the IRS so they wouldn't have to pay taxes. I mean, the number of laws that have been broken by the Biden family is staggering. And what we saw last week in the transcribed interview, Joe Biden knew all along who they were getting money from and why.
Real quick, Mr. Chairman, you were in the room. What was the disposition of Devin Archer? I mean, nobody closer to it than him. Was he reluctant? Was he relieved? I mean, what was the mood in the room?
Well, I had the staff lead the deposition. I didn't want a lot of members in the room because that makes the witness uneasy. We had Andy Biggs and Jim Jordan in the room. I was on the phone. But at the end of the day, Devin Archer was under a lot of pressure. Look, the Department of Justice sent him a letter on Saturday. They sent him another letter on Sunday. There was constant communication from the Biden legal team trying to intimidate and harass our witness, trying to encourage him not to cooperate with the House Oversight Committee. They are doing this with our other witnesses, but we're going to continue to bring people in. We're going to continue to get bank records. In fact, hopefully next week we're going to release more bank records that show more suspicious wires from our enemies around the world that were going into the Biden family's back pocket. So
I think they're just getting started. There's going to be a lot more to come, and they haven't even tapped into their records yet, right? The actual Biden family records. And you heard him say that there were other people who own ownership in some of those companies. And so the structure of the LLCs, when they form these companies, they say, okay, these people are members or managers, or this is the structure, the corporate structure. Who are those people who are on the list? And there will be more of them that they will, imagine, send letters to, and then if they don't respond to their request for an interview or a depo, compulsory process to follow. Kevin McCarthy's also talking about this, saying, the evidence is just starting to mount.
This isn't about Hunter Biden. This is about paying to play for the Biden family, because the money goes to 9 different members through shell companies, much like the informant said. So we will continue to follow the information wherever it takes us and provide it to the American public. The difference here is we don't do it for political purposes. We follow the Constitution. That's exactly what was played out during the Nixon administration in Congress. They voted to have an impeachment inquiry. And I raised it on this show not long ago that because the actions of the Biden administration withholding information, that would rise to the level where we'd need impeachment inquiry to give the strength of the Congress to get the information that we need to give to the American public and follow through on our constitutional authority. That is exactly what we're doing, and that's exactly what we'll continue to do.
All right, we'll wonder and see, when is that threshold going to be met? It might rise to the threshold of an impeachment inquiry. Well, we're waiting for it. This is a clip from Byron Donalds. We're not actually going to see him. We're just going to hear his silky smooth voice.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. This is a shot to our national security and our energy security as well. And there's more than that. Hunter Biden helped facilitate the sale of a cobalt mine in Africa to a Chinese front company for the CCP. He was a part of that as well. The New York Times reported on that. I believe it was back in 2017 or 2018. They reported on that sale. And so you got to understand, this is what's been occurring. Last piece of this is, what has Joe Biden's energy plan been? Solar panels, electric batteries. Well, who does that favor? That only favors the Chinese because they dominate the globe when it comes to these minerals that are purchased and that are dug up for the entire creation of solar panels and electric batteries. Yeah, so we are being set up as a country while the Bidens get rich.
That's right. Byron's dead right about that. They don't care about the country. They care about their own pocketbook, and they have been exploiting their position in power for Lord knows how long. And fortunately, we've got Congress that is starting to crack the shell open up Pandora's box, and hopefully they continue to march forward. We will continue to cover, my friends. Thank you for subscribing and following along as we carry forward, and we'll see you on the next one.